Welcome to the Wargaming Garage and the concluding part of the battle for the Sanctuary 404 between the Ghosts of the Forge and the Heralds of the Scourge. In the previous two missions for the battle for Tendrix and the Sanctuary 404 campaign, the Imperium had its backside handed to it by the Death Guard, whilst the Death Guard are trying to enact some ritual to open a pathway directly into the Garden of Nurgle. So in this final mission here, we get to see whether that actually can take place, whether it does take place, or whether the Imperium can halt that in its tracks. So let's go on to the armies and see what we have today. So here's the full force of the Death Guard today. We're running a battalion and a patrol. We're also running the battalion with Typhus as the Terminus Est. So there's no vehicles in today's army for the Death Guard, but it consists of Typhus, being the warlord obviously, and all of the good stuff that comes with him. He'll be running from Psychic Powers today. He'll be running Plague Wind and the Gift of Plagues. In support we have the Malignant Plague Caster, who I've given the relic the Putrid Periapt, so he gets an extra, or knows an extra power. So he's running the Miasma Pestilence, the Putrescent Vitality, and he's running the Curse of the Leper. And we also have Noxious Blightbringer to try and give some extra movement to the forces around him. We then, as elite models, we also have the two Foul Blight Spawns. From an elite perspective, we then have a squad of 7 Blightlord Terminators, most with bolters and swords or axes. We also have a flail in there, we have a blight launcher in there, and we have a plague spewer as well. We have 2 squads of 15 Poxwalkers, because it wouldn't be Typhus without Poxwalkers. We then have 2 squads of Death Guard Plague Marines, this squad here having a flail, an icon, bolters, with the champion having a power fist and a bolter, and this squad having a cleaver, blight launcher, and the champion having a plasma pistol and a power fist. We then, for the patrol, have Captain Trips. He needs to see out whether his mission is completely successful. He has an additional relic for the suppurating plate and everything else that he's been carrying in this last, including the upgraded Man Reaper, etc. And then he just has a single squad of Plague Marines with him, which is with a champion with a power fist and plasma gun, blight launcher, and then just 5 standard Plague Marines. So that's the Death Guard army for today. So let's move on to see what the Imperium has to offer. So here's the army for the Ghosts of the Forge, in all of its completeness. So Warlord today is the Terminator Captain. He's carrying the Burning Blade and all the other relics he's been carrying this entire campaign, along with the Promethean Plate on the Lieutenant. He's got the same relics and stratagems that he had applied to him in the last mission. From an elite's perspective, we have a squad of Sternguard veterans with a heavy bolter, heavy flamer, combi flamer, power sword, and then just mastercrafted bolt guns. We then have a Contemptor Dread with multi-melter and combat fist. We then have the Venerable Dreadnought with a heavy plasma cannon and flamer. We have in heavy support, the other elite slot will be taken up by the Centurions, Assault Centurions. We then have for heavy support a Devastator squad with 2 heavy plasmas, heavy bolter and a las cannon, with the sergeant having a thunderhammer and plasma pistol. Sorry, just a normal pistol, I believe. And then we have 3 squads of tactical marines, the first one being with the sergeant with the plasma pistol and the thunderhammer, with the las cannon as a heavy weapon. Pre-standard loadout on the second squad with a missile launcher, and then the third squad again pre-standard loadout with a multi-melter as the heavy weapon. We then also have a Land Raider for some transport options. So that's the armies for today's mission. So let's have a look what the mission actually is. So we're playing open war today, and we drew the prize. Now it's quite interesting because it's something that can probably fold into the narrative of this campaign quite well. So the idea being that there is a relic, there is a prize. Whoever's holding it at the end of the 5th battle round essentially is the winner. But then we drew deployment, which made life a little bit more interesting. So again, I've got some thinking needs to be done about deployment. Whoever wins that roll off, as to where we want to be. But then the final twist was hatred, giving the closest enemy unit reroll wounds of 1. So all in all, a few rerolls going on hopefully, and should potentially be, with all 3 together, an interesting final mission for the campaign. So let's get it marked up and roll off for deployment. So as usual, I'll be using the red dice for the Space Marines and the other dice here with the skull on it for the Death Guard. Let's roll off for deployment. And that is the Space Marines winning deployment. So I need to have a bit of a think about this, because essentially I need to put the prize in the centre of the battlefield, i.e. something like that. Okay, now I need to have a think about what I would look at narratively. Now the way I'm looking at this mission, the way it's come out, I think this is the final piece of the puzzle to open the garden. So given the fact that the Death Guard really have been handing it to the Space Marines this last couple of missions, it would kind of make narrative sense for them to be in possession of this relic, ready for them to be opening the pathway to the Garden of Nurgle, and the Space Marines are, the Imperium are here to stop them from doing that. Equally, it's completely valid that it's the other way around. They're having discovered what the plan is, they decide to turn it on its head and keep the relic. They've found the relic, they know what they're looking for, and it's down to the Death Guard to make that final effort into getting that pathway open. I'll have a think about it, and we'll deploy the armies. So here we are after deployment, and it took ages. That was actually quite a difficult deployment to do. I did go with my gut around the narrative of this campaign, in terms of putting the Death Guard, controlling the relic, controlling the prize that they need desperately to then protect, so they can finalise their ritual. So they've deployed, everything's on the board. There's nothing in deep strike or anything, because I didn't think that would be a thing either. They're here, they want to do it, they want to do the ritual. They're not waiting for anything from space, not tactically trying to get anything. They're there, they want it. So I've tried to split the elites and distribute them among the squads, trying to give them different buffs as they go, with things like the blight spawns near the marines in case they get charged, so they don't get a fight first buff, things like that. So the Death Guard are pretty much deployed down the centre of the board. Poxwalkers trying to block off different things or screen units where they can. I didn't feel like the Terminators, to be honest, necessarily needed a screen, but we'll see if that's a mistake. For the Ghosts, the only thing that's inside this Land Raider is the Assault Centurions. That's their wagon that they roll in. And we've got down this side of the Stern Guard the Terminator Captain and the Venerable Dreadnought. Alright, over the other side of the board we have a couple of squads of Marines here, the 2 squads of Tactical Marines. The 3rd squad of Tactical Marines are more or less along the centre of that deployment zone, and then we have the other Dreadnought, the Devastator squad, and the Lieutenant to give rerolls for wounds. So all that remains is to do a roll off for who goes first. So just come over here. Again, same thing, different armies. It's Death Guard, turn 1. So at the end of the Death Guard movement phase, we've started to advance some of these units up towards and block some of these lanes of entry into the centre of the board. So the Poxwalkers here have shuffled forward slightly. The squad of Plague Marines, the Blightspawn and the Captain have moved forward to block this entry into here through this level. Terminators have consolidated into the centre of the board, and the Plaguecaster has picked up the relic. It seemed to make sense that he would be the one carrying it, because he's the one that needs to enact the ritual. Around this side of the board, the squad of Plague Marines has come forward. This squad of Plague Marines has pretty much stayed stationary, but this squad of Poxwalkers has moved themselves forward too. So just a bit of shuffling and consolidating into the areas we want to try and prevent access to the centre of this board and prevent access to that Plaguecaster with the relic. So with that, we'll go on to the psychic phase. So on to the psychic phase, and we're going to start off with the Malignant Plaguecaster in the centre of the board, looking to protect this Poxwalker blob over here from anything of the first turn. So we'll start off with, he's going to cast Miasma of Pestilence and Putrescent Vitality. So we'll start off with Putrescent Vitality, Warp Charge of 7, that goes off on a 10. And Miasma Pestilence with Warp Charge of 6, which doesn't go off. I've got some stuff left to cast with Typhus. Okay, I'll redo that one because I do want to protect those ones, make them a bit more of a pain in the backside. That just goes off. Okay, so those Poxwalkers are all toughened up. So for Typhus, he's going to smite into this squad over here, and then we have a decision to make around the other one. We're going to use Plague Wind. Just need to think about what I'm going to do it on. I'll check the distance to this squad. Yeah, I'll have a look. So anyway, so smiting the first squad. That goes off on a 9 for D3 for 2, so that's 1 dead. And let me have a think about Plague Wind. So Plague Wind needs to be within 18 inches. This squad here was about an inch away, so it'll go straight into this nearest squad here. We've already taken one away from there, so let's roll that one off. Okay, that goes off. So we need a D6 for each squad member. Which is that, and on 6s, suffers a mortal wound. So that's 2 mortal wounds, that's another one gone. That puts that squad down to 3. Nothing can be done about it, so off they go. So we're going to start the shooting phase with this squad of Plague Marines here, firing into the Stern Guard. They're all just to the inch in range of that first Stern Guard veteran over in the building over there. So we'll be launching all of anything that's not firing is going to be the sergeant with his plasma pistol, so everything else will go in. So let's get that cracking. So first set of shots coming in. It's not so strength 4 versus toughness 4. So it's 4 wounds. They are inside the building, they're in cover, so they get +1 to their saving throw, and they're all fine. So moving on to this squad here, they're going to try and eliminate the Blight Launcher into the Stern Guard squad. So that's 2 hits. Move on to the 1, it's Plague Weapon. Okay, it's 1 wound. And they're fine. -2. There's a 2 up. There's 4%. Yes, they're fine. Okay. So onto this squad, firing into this squad of Marines here. Oh. Okay. Really? Okay. Right, we'll move on to the Terminator squad. And the Terminator squad is going to fire into this squad inside the cover here. So these are the Blight Lords that can see. They're just inside range. It's only light cover for that particular building, so they're not within reroll range, I don't think. Okay. So it's 3 wounds. 1 takes a wound. Okay. So now for the Blight Launcher. There's 1 hit. Could get rid of another one. What have I got left? This is the last thing to shoot, so okay, yeah, we'll reroll. Wounds. He's fine. That's the end of the Death Guard shooting. And with no charges to make, that also marks the end of the Death Guard turn. So a couple of Marines have been gotten rid of out of this squad over in the corner here. Otherwise, apart from that, just a consolidation of the position inside the board, protecting that Plague Caster, who's now, it's their job to make sure that he's still in possession of that relic come the end of turn 5. So with that, we'll go on to the Ghosts turn 1. So we're at the end of the Ghosts movement phase. We've brought these 2 squads of Tactical Marines have come out of cover, looking to start pressuring and whittling away these Poxwalkers, this shambling horde in front of them. Again, this squad of Tactical Marines has moved its way over the barricades and start heading towards and whittling away as well. Over on this flank, the Contemptor has come out of cover and started to again move his way into the lines of the Plague Marines. Devastator squad have shuffled around to get themselves a bit more line of sight. Over the other end of the table, then the Sternguard and the Terminator Captain have come out of cover. The Land Raiders move around. The only thing left to move is a Venerable Dreadnought, which I'll do now. So now he's all moved, with no psychic phase for the ghosts today. We will move straight on to the shooting phase. So we'll start with the Venerable Dreadnought into these Poxwalkers. We have put Cloud of Flies from the Death Guard end onto this squad. Pondering around what to do. I mean, basically, I did contemplate doing it onto the Terminators, but given the fact of where the terrain is, it didn't seem spending 4 CP would necessarily be that worth it at this point in time. So put it on here. So what we'll do anyway, Venerable Dreadnought, all the Flamers into the Poxwalkers, and then its Plasma we're going to go over and see if we can get rid of some of that squad over there as well. So it's heavy D6 automatic hits for the Flamer for 5. And with Miasma and Pestilence on there, Persistent Vitality on there, that is only 2 wounds. So 2 6-up shrugs, of which one is made, so only 1 Poxwalker, so I'll just mark that over here, so that's just 1 Poxwalker down. So heavy D3 Plasma into the Plague Marines for 2. That's 2 hits, and that's a 1 wound, and no. So that's a wound taken on the Plague Marine. So this Poxwalker squad, we had the Sternguard veterans, everything from them went into it. We used the Flamer part of the Combi Flamer and the Captain. And Putrescent Vitality and Miasma Pestilence really doing the number there. We only managed to whittle away 7 of their number, so still a significant number over there. So what we'll do is we'll come round to the other side, and essentially all the bolter shots and the multi-melters, everything from this squad, and this squad are going to go into the Poxwalkers in front of Typhus, trying to whittle him away and expose Typhus, so he's available to be shot at. Okay. So the first set of shots from the squad with the multi-melter in it, all bar 1 hit, because obviously there's no spells cast on this Poxwalker squad, and 3's to wound. So 4 6-up shrugs, of which none are made, so that's 4 down. So mark those 4 up there. And then the multi-melter, 2 hits, 2 wounds, again 2 6-up shrugs. Which one is made? So that's 1 more added to the pile of death. So moving on to the squad along. So that's 2 hits from the Marine. It's 2 wounds. 2 saves. Good work. Right, the Plasma Pistol hits, doesn't wound. Okay, and then the last cannon hits, wounds. Another one goes down. So far, total of 6. So now on to the final tactical marine squad here, and we'll do a frag missile for 6. Oof. Really? Seriously? Ah, it's you rogue little dice in there causing problems. Anyway, 1 hit, 1 wound. No save, that's another one. And then 2, 4, 6, 8 bolter shots. Okay, dropped a few there. Dropped another one. Ah, there we reroll into the lieutenant. Okay. And 3 more go to waste. Right. So from all 3 squads, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Leaving 5 poxwalkers remaining. I'll remove those casualties and we'll move on to the last 2 units to shoot. And so moving on to the Land Raider, he's going to put everything into, he can just see the edge of the Terminators. So he's going to put everything into the Terminators and see if we can whittle away some of that protection around the Psycho. So starting with the Heavy Bolter, Strength 5, Toughness 5, and so that's 4 wounds go through. So that is 1 wound caused. So I'll mark that up. Right then, last cannons, 2 hits, 2 wounds, and that's another. That one goes through. So on a 2, on a 3 or more, that's a Terminator gone. Just enough. So that's 1 Terminator down. So we're moving on to the Devastator squad here. So we're going to employ a stratagem. I want to try and start whittling away these Marines here. Just try and clear some space towards that centre of the board area. So we'll start off, we're going to use Hellfire shells on the Heavy Bolter. So for 1 CP, so Hellfire shells basically gives me, if I hit, then it's an automatic D3 mortal wounds. Hopefully I can just make one go pop. So to hit, hits, D3 mortal wounds for 3, reduced down to 2, but either way that's 1 Plague Marine gone. So then on to the plasma. Everything from that Devastator squad is going to go into that Plague Marine unit in front of them. The last cannon is going to be chosen for Signum by the sergeant. So we'll do that one now. So last cannon hits, definitely wounds. No save, so do 6 damage. Let's spend the CP on that. Was the last thing, more or less the last thing to shoot apart from the Contemptor. So For 4, reduced down to 3, so that's another one gone. So again, I'll just mark those up. That's 2 Marines from that squad. So now the first plasma for D3 for 3. These aren't overcharging, there's no need, because of the reduction of damage. So 2 hits, 1 wound, reroll 1s because of the lieutenant. It's 2 wounds, and both go through. So that's another one gone. Could say damage 1 weaponry, but there's 2 wounds. So then the second plasma for 1 hits, wounds, saves. Okay, so 3 whittled out of that, 3 Marines whittled out of that squad so far. So the lieutenant himself, he'll just fire his bolter. Both hit, no wounds. So now the last thing to fire is the Contempt of Dread, and again everything will go into that plate. So starting with the combi bolter, it's inside his arm. That's 2 hits, 1 wound, and 1 save. And then the multi-melter, both hits. That's strength 8 versus toughness 5, so 3s. Both go through. That's a -4, so no save on that one, and so that's 2d6 damage. So yeah, that's 2d6 damage. For 5 and for 2. So once the smoke clears down by these containers, there's quite a lot of damage done down to this side of the flank, this flank of the Death Guard's deployment zone. So the plan at the moment is moving on to the charge phase. We'll charge this squad of Marines into the Poxwalkers. And I'll have a think about this squad. It is an 11-inch charge. These guys, they've got Hungry for Battle and Whirlwind of Rage on their as their chapter tactics, so they get +1 to advances or charge, but any 6s in combat also result in an automatic wound. I'll have to check that. It's either automatic wound or another wound or something. I'll double check. It's an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores an additional hit, so hopefully basically they're very angry people. So we'll move on to the charge phase, and then I'll put the Contempt of Dread into, probably put them into this Lorrainian squad here and see if we can whittle those 2 Marines away and really try and put some pressure on this flank here. Not some less pressure on this flank with Typhus in the way, but certainly whittle away his screen. So we'll move on to the charge phase. So having done some measuring, we've got a 6-inch charge there with the +1, a 10-inch charge here with the +1, and a 4-inch charge here for the +1. So we'll start off with this squad here. So they're in. Second tactical squad. They're not in. That's fine. And then the Contempt of Dread. Ooh. I'm going to re-roll that. I want some extra distance. Okay, that's cool. Right, I'll move them all in and go on to the fight phase. So the tactical squad has moved in, ready for fighting. We've got the Thunderhammer sergeant there, and then just 2 Marines. Over this side, whilst the Contemptor Dread is moved in, the Foul Blight Spawn with its aura means that it will be fighting last. So with that flail there and the Power Fist there, might not be a good day. Right, we'll move on to the first set of combat over here. So Typhus carried out heroic intervention as you'd expect. There's only 3 in front of him. He should be able to take care of them. So with that in mind, what we'll do is we will more than likely well, here's the thing. I'm tempted to put all the attacks into Typhus. Now he's intervened. Remove Typhus and then deal with the Poxwalkers afterwards. However, we've got 7 attacks. Okay, I think it's time to... Yep, we're going to go for Death to the Traitors for a command point. So that means I can re-roll all the hit rolls. So I'm going to live with the Poxwalkers. I'm going to try and get or whittle as many away from Typhus. See if I get super lucky. Right, okay. So let's start with the Plain Marines. Okay, let's re-roll that hit roll. Okay, so they all hit. So strength 4, this is toughness 5, so 5's to wound. There's 2 wounds. And he's fine. Okay, so now the sergeant. So hit on 4s, but looking to re-roll. Okay, and 2 6s score the additional hits. Come on. Okay, so that's all in. So that's now strength 8 versus toughness 5, so 3's to wound. Okay. Gotta be a big blow if I got rid of him. Let's re-roll one of those. Okay, that's 4 wounds. So that's 4 up in buns. Each failed one is 3 damage mitigated down to 2. Oh, it takes 2 damage. Now it's time for everyone to strike back. So, Poxwalkers now 2 attacks each, and there's 5 left, so hitting on 4s. Not bad, not bad. So now, because Typhus gives them +1 strength, they're strength 4, and because of contagion range, those Marines are toughness 3. It'll be 3's to wound. Oh, okay. And he's fine. So now it's Typhus. So yes, 6 attacks. We're going to go for the cleave option of his Man Reaper, which means it's +3. Everything's 3. Everyone's dead, basically. Right. So hitting on 2s. Everything hits. Now he's strength 7 because of the Man Reaper against toughness 6, so wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s. Reroll those 2 1s. Okay, so we have 5 wounds go through. So those 5 wounds are requiring 6 up saves, each one doing 3 damage. So each one failed, it's a dead Marine. They're dead. Okay, that's the end of that one. So on to the other phase with the other squad, with the Plague Marines fighting first. So now, because of the putrefying stink aura on the Blightspawn, it means those 2 Marines get to fight first. So, because he's within 3 inches. So we'll start off with the flail. So that is 3 hits. So now it is strength 6 versus toughness 6, so falls to wound because of the reduction in strength and toughness. So it's 3 wounds, minus 2. And so he takes 2 wounds. So he actually takes 4 wounds going through. Reduction, so that's multi-damage, so he takes 2 wounds because of the new rule for dreadnoughts. So that's 2 that have gone through. And then we have the Power Fist. So 1 hit. That's 1 wound. And no, it's failed to save. That's another damage gone through. So it's taken 3 wounds for his trouble so far. Right. So nothing else is left to fight. So now he can strike back. So now the Contemptor Dread gets a strike back. He's got 4 attack space, an extra 1 for shock assault. He'll be strength 14 because it's 2 times his strength for the combat fist, and minus 3 damage. So hopefully all of these should go through. In fact, what we'll also do, because dreadnoughts are core, I'll check something on that. Okay. Right. So hitting on 3s. That's 4 hits. Wounding on 2s. That's 3 wounds. That's minus 3 damage, so 3 6-up saves. No, so that's that Plague Marine squad wiped. And as we come to the end of the first turn, there's certainly been some damage wreaked down this side of the Death Guard's lines. We've certainly exposed this part of the battle grid, so we start to make inroads into the centre of the board. Over on the other side, Typhus has still got some Poxwalkers in front of him. We didn't manage to eradicate that squad. Think we may regret that. But down this side we're still looking pretty healthy. Got a good amount of screening going on, and a full-size squad of Plague Marines plus a Blightspawn, plus with the loss of only 1 Terminator, that Psyche has still got a very, very healthy bodyguard. So with that being the end of turn 1, we'll get everything moved on to Death Guard turn 2. So after the movement phase and command phase for the Death Guard, we've moved this squad of Plague Marines blocking off this avenue, and then we've moved the Plaguecaster and his bodyguards really around this side to bring him into sight of either this dreadnought, or potentially that dreadnought over there. We also, in the command phase, gained a command point, but spent it again on the dead walk again, and managed to roll and return 5 poxwalkers back to the board. So they've just brought themselves forward, spread out a little bit, and again they've got options either for charge options here or here. Around this side, a slight shuffle with the blight spawn in an effort to potentially do some damage to this dreadnought and finish him off and remove that threat from this end here. So all in all, we've then moved the poxwalker slightly closer, again screening these plague marines off, and so with all that being said, we'll go on to the Death Guard psychic phase. So psychic phase, the playcaster here is going to put putrescent vitality onto the poxwalkers, making them a little bit stronger, which goes off. I'll check the pestilential fallout on that one because it might suffer a mortal wound on that contemptor dreadnought. I'll just check the distance on that, and then we'll throw a smite, and that will hit the contemptor dreadnought as it is, which perils I'll spend a CP to re-roll that, and it just goes off for D3, which is the big 3, which takes that contemptor down to 3 wounds remaining. Okay, so then on to the psychic phase for Typhus. So Typhus is going to throw a smite into this nearest unit here. There's also going to do Plague Wind into that unit as well. So we start off with the smite, which doesn't go off, and I've got no reroll anyway now, and Plague Wind, that doesn't go off either. So he must have spent all his energy with getting them poxwalkers back to life. Okay, on to the Death Guard shooting. So starting with this Marine squad here, all the bolt guns are going to go into the Stern Guard squad here. The Blight Launcher and the Plasma Pistol are going to go into the Dreadnought here, because they've got a higher chance of causing some damage. So that Stern Guard squad is not in contagion range just yet. So this is all the shots from the bolt guns. Pretty good spread. So forced wound. Oof. Okay, so 3 wounds, no AP. And causes a wound. So I'll mark that up in a minute. And then the Blight Launcher into the Dreadnought. 2 hits. Forced to wound. 1 wound. It goes through. Damage is reduced though, so. Then the Plasma Pistol from the Champion. He's not overcharging, thank God. I'll save the CP, so that misses. So the Noxious Blightbringer is also going to put his Plasma Pistol into the Venerable Dreadnought, which hits and doesn't wound. Okay, so what's going to happen now is the next squad around here, they're going to put everything into the Land Raider and just try and start putting some wounds on it. The Foul Blight Spawn is also going to put everything into the Land Raider as well, so we can start doing some damage and bracket it at least. So again, we'll start off with the bolt guns, and this time it is in contagion range. Not that it makes much difference, to be fair. They're within reroll range with the Lord. Contagion. That's help matters. 5s and 6s. 2 wounds. It's fine. And now the plasma pistol from the champion. Misses. Okay, so now the blight launcher. 1 hit, 1 miss. Reroll for the Lord. Still misses. Fails to wound, and it's not even that I can reroll. Okay, so now on to the foul blight spawn. So he gets to roll a d6 for the number of shots. For 4, that's pretty respectable. 4 auto hitting, and again, because of contagion, I'll just check the strength. I think it's strength 6 actually. That's strength 7. So wounding on 3s because of contagion now. My mistake, they are toughness 8 still. So strength 7 versus toughness 7, that'd be 4s, not 3s. 2 go through. They're -3, 2 damage each. So 1 goes through, so mark up for 2 damage. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of split fire going on around here. So we're going to put the blight launcher and these 2 combi bolters into the dreadnought. We're then going to put the plague spewer and this bolter into this dreadnought. It's only got 1 wound left thanks to the pestilential fallout from the psychic powers, so hopefully should finish him off. So the first bunch of shots against the venerable dreadnought did absolutely nothing. They all bounced. I rolled out of 8 combi bolter shots, I rolled 5 1s, so not bad. This is the combi bolter going into the 1 wound contemptor. So 3 hits, 2 wounds, 2 3-up saves. He's fine. So now d6 shots for the plague spewer for 1. Yeah, why not? There's only blight spawn left to shoot, so for 1. Okay, so strength 5 versus toughness 7, because we're still out of contagion range. Wounds. He's fine. So that contemptor lives to fight another day, certainly from the shooting phase. So again, foul blight spawn will fire into the contemptor and see how we get on. For 1. Right, I've already used my reroll and doesn't wound. He really is blessed. Okay, with nothing else left to shoot, we'll move on to the Death Guard charge phase. So marking some of these charges up, basically I'm going to be putting the Poxwalkers into this dreadnought to try and shut that down. I'll be looking to put the Plague Marines into the Stand Guard squad to try and get rid of those. I will charge the Blight Lords into this Contemptor. 2 reasons. 1, because he's got 1 wound left, and second, it will slingshot them round, and then I've refilled this area of the board again if I can. And again, the Blight Spawn, I possibly won't charge him in, but I will leave him there. You know, I will leave him there I'll have a think about that. I'm not sure yet whether to charge him in or not. Round this side, I'm deciding possibly. I don't think I'm going to charge with the Poxwalkers. It's not far to get them in. I can bring them in towards this squad, or obviously over towards this squad. But I then don't want to have to then either fail a charge with Typhus all this way. That's obviously quite a long charge there. I want to make sure I can keep them within 6, and actually I still want to screen them against Typhus because he's a pain in the backside. You know, he can still whack out those mortal wounds. So if the smites and stuff go off. So yeah, I'm tempted to leave these there. Whether it's a mistake or not, we'll have to find out. So the first squad charging the Marines into the Stone Guard. They're in for a 7. Charging the Poxwalkers in, I will spend a CP on Overwatch on that. So that puts me down to 8 CP for the Ghosts. But I will fire his Flamer, so see if I can just reduce some of that down a little bit. For 4 auto hits, 3 wounds, and 1 shrug, so 2 die on the way in. So I'll mark those up and put them up here. But do they get in is the question. I'm sure they will. On a 5, yes, they do. So that's the Poxwalkers in. The Plague Marines into the Land Raider. It's a pretty much auto charge, but auto in. But I'll mark up for distance for 7 and get some in. I won't charge the Blight Spawn in that's with them. But I may charge the Captain in that's with them. In fact, I will. See if I can get him in for 7. Yeah, okay. I'll check the distance on that one. And then the Terminators into the Contemptor. And they just make it on a 6. So everyone's pretty much in, shutting down a lot of the Space Marines force. We'll get them moved in and get them piled in and go from there. So on to the fight phase. So we're going to start off combat over here with this squad of Plague Marines. So there are 5 Marines going in with knives, and then there's 1 with a cleaver and 1 the champion with a power fist. So that'll be the first set of combat, so we'll start rolling it off. So this is the bolt knives, this is the plague knives. So hitting on 3s. There's no Lord to re-roll those. Wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. Re-roll that 1. Okay. That is 5 wounds. So -1. 1 Marine falls. So I'll mark that one up. There's 1 dead. And then on to the cleaver. The cleaver's 2 attacks but hitting on 4s. 1 hit. 1 wound. And that's definitely not a save. So D6 for 1. Okay. We'll save the command point, but that's half a wound put on. And now the champion with his power fist. 2 hits. No wounds. Okay. So now this is the second squad against the Land Raider, who spent a command point on Creeping Blight, so any 6s do go -4, so straight through. So 3s to hit. That was out. There is a Lord in range, so we roll those ones. Okay, that's a bit healthier. So it will be 5s and 6s because of it dropping down to toughness 7, but still 5s and 6s, but 6s go straight through. So that's 3 wounds already taken, and that's it. Okay, so those 3 wounds for the to take off. So now the sergeant, the champion, he has 1 hit. I will re-roll one of those. I've got the champion to re-roll. And I'll re-roll that miss. Was to be. Okay. So this time it is 3s to wound, because it will take him to strength 8 with, I guess, toughness 7, so 3s to wound. Okay, so no wounds there. So 3 wounds done on the Land Raider anyway. So now it is the Lord of Contagion himself. I'll just get the dice together. So we have the choice of using Cleave or Scythe. We're going to use Cleave on this one because it gives you it's +3 strength, -3 and 2 damage, so could be significant. So 4 hits, 4s to wound, and re-rolling 1, so plague weapon. Okay, so it's 2 wounds at -3, so 6 ups. Make 1, fail 1, so that's 2 more damage go through. So it's a total of 5 wounds taken off of the Land Raider. So I'll mark that up, and then we're on to the last 2 bits of combat, which is the Poxwalkers and the Terminators. So these are all the Poxwalker attacks. It's pretty wishful thinking really, but you never know. So, okay. And strength 3. So okay, so 1 wound. 1 wound goes through, but he's fine. Okay, so I'll get the dice together for the Terminators, and I'll move on to that combat. So I think everything bar 1 can get in, whereas within half an inch of within half an inch. So we will start off with the flail. So we get 2 attacks for each one of this flail. So they all hit. It's a very good start. Now it's adding +1, so it is strength 5 versus toughness 6 because he's reduced 1 down, so it's still 5s and 6s to wound. 1 wound. Okay, so 1 wound could be all it needs. It is -2. Goes through. and so that's all the flail needed. They woke this Contemptor Dreadnought up to try and ensure that this Sanctuary 404 did not fall. Alas, cut down by Terminators, this Contemptor Dreadnought, I'm sure his sarcophagus will be recovered. So now we get to attack back with the Marines in the Sternguard squad. So they get +1 attack for shock assault. So that's hitting on 3s. Move on in 1s. Oh no, I don't think they're core actually. I do not believe that they are. Yes, they are. Okay, so all hit. So strength 4 is toughness 5, so 5s and 6s to wound. So that is a grand total of 3 wounds on the Plague Marines. Which they're fine. Okay. So now the sergeant with his power sword. We're all in ones. I actually have just realised that he also has the Chapter Master command, which I've not used. So that's fine. I'll remember that for turn 2. For their turn 2. So that's 4 hits anyway. So that's going to be strength 5 versus toughness 5. So it'll be force to wound. Oh, okay. So -3. So that kills the Plague Marine that's on. Oh no, it's not on. It's at the other squad. Okay, so that puts 1 wound on 1 Marine. So over to the Dreadnought. Ooh. You're going to find yourself tied up. So 3 6-up shrugs. No, so 3 fall. 3 Poxwalkers fall. So at the end of the Death Guard turn, we've managed to tie up the Land Raider. We've managed to tie up the Sternguard squad and the Venerable Dreadnought. We've managed to eradicate the Contemptor Dreadnought around this side. So the Terminators are making, plugging the gap on this flank, ready to face down this Devastator squad. And Typhus and his horde are ever advancing out towards these 2 squads of Tactical Marines. So let's see what happens in the Ghost's turn. Coming up. So after the movement phase for the Ghosts, the captain is shuffled around slightly, staying outside of range. But the Assault Centurions have disembarked from the Land Raider and are looking to put some hurt right into this squad and Captain Trips. So the Terminator Captain will choose those for his Chapter Master re-rolls, whilst the Land Raider has fell back and obviously is of no use this turn. The Dreadnought stayed in combat, get rid of that last set of Poxwalkers, and then over towards this flank. The Devastator squad have moved up, and the Tactical squad have moved across, as have that Tactical squad have moved across slightly. So with movement phase done, what we've also done is gained a command point in the command phase, but that and then obviously specified the Assault Centurions being the target of the Chapter Master's instructions. So that being said, we'll move on to the shooting phase. So we'll start off with the Dreadnought with his heavy flamer in combat. He gets a full 6, very tasty. See if we can get rid of those poxwalkers and free him up a little bit. So that is 5. Was that? I think I knocked that. I think that was 5. So 5 6-up shrugs, of which none are made. So those poxwalkers are finally gone. So move round to the Devastator squad. We've spent 2 command points on Steady Advance, and we spent an additional command point on Hellfire Shells, because we're going to put everything in that squad into the Blight Lord Terminators in front of us. They're literally bearing down on this squad, so they're going to put everything they can into it just to try and make them stumble. The signum will be on the las cannon. So start off D3 shots with the first plasma cannon for 2. We're not overcharging on this because we should wound on 3s. It makes no odds if you're then doing it for overcharging because of the reduction in damage. So 1 hit, 1 wound, and 4 up invuln, which he makes. So the second plasma cannon for 1 shot, which hits, wounds, goes through. So that's a wound on the Terminator. So now the heavy bolter. So although it would be heavy 3, because we're using Hellfire, we get to make just 1 attack with that heavy bolter, but if it hits, then that target suffers D3 mortal wounds. So let's go for it. It hits, so D3 mortal wounds for 3. Right, so that kills that first Terminator. Then on to the last cannon, hitting on 2s because of signum, hits, doesn't wound. I am going to CP that. I should have changed the dice. Oh my god. Okay, I'll just check that the sergeant's plasma pistol's in range. So the sergeant hitting on 3s, hits, off the tray, wounds, and goes through with another wound put on another Terminator. So less than I wanted, but any Terminator dead is a good Terminator in my book at the minute. So I'll move on to the next tactical squad and see what they can do. So with this squad, the plan is to put the missile launcher into the Terminators and then put everything into the Poxwalkers and just try and whittle that down so we can maybe then expose Typhus. So we'll start off with the bolters into the plague room, into the Poxwalkers. That's 2, 3, 4. Hitting on 3s. So strength 4 versus toughness 4, I think. Hang on. Yep, so that's toughness 4. So that is force to wound. Ha! I will go through. So that is 6 up shrugs. 4, 6. 5 are slain. So remove those. in a moment, and then one crack missile into the Terminator squad. So hitting on 4s because he's moved. So it hits, wounding on 3s, wounds. Right. He saves, that's fine. So this squad of Marines, obviously quaking with the sight of typhus bearing down on them, were pretty woeful in their shots and only managed to get rid of a further 3, I think it was, of these poxwalkers, leaving these 2 remaining. So they're still screening typhus in that respect. And so now we come to the last bit of shooting, which is the assault centurions. So they're going to put everything into the Plague Marine squad in front of them. So that'll be 6 melter shots. They are under the charge of the chapter master. So 6 melter shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling all hit rolls. Don't need it any 1. Okay, so they all hit. So strength 8 versus toughness 5, so wounding on 3s. Each wound is a straight -4. Oh, that is 6 wounds. So what we'll do, each one being D6 plus 2. So each one of these is essentially a dead Plague Marine because they're in melter range. The plus 2, each one being a 1, reduction of damage to 2 means all those 6 of those Plague Marines are dead. So after the smoke clears in front of the assault centurions, that's exposing the Lord of Contagion, ready for making him answer for the previous 2 encounters. So there will be charges across the board here. We'll be charging the captain into the Plague Marine squad. We will be charging the assault marines into the Lord of Contagion. We'll be charging the Venerable Dreadnought into the Noxious Blightbringer. We will be charging this squad of Marines, the Lieutenant, and this squad of Marines into the Terminators, trying to deal as much damage as we possibly can. Hopefully with a Thunderhammer and whatnot in there, we might be able to whittle 1 or 2 of them away. Then round here, I need to think about this one. I'm very tempted to charge this squad in as well, to both the Poxwalkers and Typhus, but concentrate all my attacks on Typhus. We'll see. I'll have a think about that one. So, measuring up the charges, we're going to do some charges which are the Assault Centurions into the Lord of Contagion. We'll do the Terminator Captain into the Plague Marine squad. We'll be doing this Tactical Marines, the Devastator squad, sorry, the Lieutenant and the Tactical squad into this Terminator squad, just to see if we can actually whittle some stuff down. Maybe Thunderhammer's in there, maybe we can do some wounds, maybe the sheer volume of attacks can do something to the Terminator squad. And then the Venerable Dreadnought into the Blightbringer. So we'll start with the Terminator Captain. Should be an auto in, it is for that much, so I'll just move him in. The Dreadnought, an 8, I think that gets him in, but I'll double check that. The Centurion squad, 4. Should get them in. I'm gonna CP that one. With an 11, yes, they're definitely in. Devastator squad. They get in with a 9. The Lieutenant. A 5. I don't think he makes it in. I think it's a 6-inch charge. Tactical squad. They get in with a 7. And then the other tactical squad, I am going to charge them into Typhus and the Poxwalkers, and they get in with a 10. So some good movement there. So I'll charge them all in. And so starting with the captain, he has 5 attacks, 4 attacks base, 1 on the charge, and hit on 2s. So all hit. He has the Burning Blade as his relic today, and so that means he's wounding on 3s, and each wound goes straight through -5, but it's 2 damage, but obviously reduced down to 1 damage. So at the minute we've killed one Plague Marine. Excellent. Okay. Not so much of a badass really. Okay. One's better than nothing. So now all of these, remember they got hit for Chapter Master, so they get to reroll their hit rolls. So any 6s explode and get an additional hit. So 1. Excellent. Just reroll these. We're over here for now. Okay. And get an additional. There we go. Not too bad. All but 1. So now this will be a strength 10 versus toughness 5, so 2s to wound. Okay, so that is 3, 6, 9, 11 wounds. So 11, 4 up in buns, so that's 6, 9, 11. That's 6 wounds to get through. Let's see what we can do. So it's 1, 2, 3 wounds taken. Not enough. Definitely not enough. Right. Because of the separating plate, we roll 1d6, and on a 2-up, that squad takes a mortal wound, which it does. Okay, so we'll mark that up and move on to the next bit of combat. So the Venerable Dreadnought now into the Blightbringer. So 5 attacks, 4 hit. So that is now with his weapon, that is strength 12. So it's wounding on 2s. Okay, so those 3 go through. It's -3. So 6-up save. So 2 go through. So that's 4 wounds. Let me just check how many he's got. I'm not sure. I think he's only got 4. Yep, he only has 4, so that's the Blightbringer taken down. Just move him forward slightly towards that psyker. He has that psyker in his sights, knowing he's got that relic. Okay, so let's move on to the Devastator squad and see what they can do to these Terminators. So as expected, the Standard Marines bounced against we managed to hit everything, but Only got 1 wound through, which was saved. So now on to the sergeant with the thunder hammer, see what damage he can do. So 3 hits, hitting on 4s because it's unwieldy. Okay, all 3 hit. So wounding on 3s. So 2 wounds. Onto the invulnerable save. One goes through, which kills that, puts 1 wound onto the Terminator, and no, reduces damage. Anyway, kills the Terminator, which is great. One that already had a wound. So now on to the last of the tactical squads for the Terminators, the other tactical squad of the Terminators. That is 10 attacks coming in, so that's 5, 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 for the sergeant. Alright, on 3s, 6s get additional hit. A few in there, so I'll keep that. Got one of the dice. Okay, so 5s and 6s to wound. Oh, not all. Not bad. So 1, 2, 6, 7. Very good. 7. Oh. They bring another Terminator down. Yeah, I'll double check this, but basically the Thunderhammer scored 3 hits. We had a Terminator left on 2 wounds. No, so we'd only just leave that Terminator left on 1 wound remaining, so that's fine. So now we'll start on the units that have been attacked, fighting back before we move on to the Blade Marines in combat, and the tactical and the Standguard squad, because obviously the defenders fight first. So we'll start off with Typhus. He's going to use the cleave option on his scythe, so that's 6 attacks hitting on 2s. Okay, so not so great at all. Right, we roll in those 1s, so 3 wounds go through it, -3, and each failed one is a dead Marine. So that's 2 dead Marines there. The Poxwalkers were charged even though they didn't get to fight, so there's 2 left there. They get an extra point of strength, so they all hit. They get their strength 4 versus toughness 3, so 3s to wound, so it's 2 more wounds go through, and it wounds another Marine. Okay, so that's 2.5 wounds, 2.5 Marines dead there. Working our way through, we now have the flail. So the flail coming into the Devastator squad. So 4 hits. Rerolling that 1. Okay, so 4 wounds. So 5 ups, and each one is a dead Marine. Ooh, only 2. Okay, not bad. The other three are going to go into, the other three Terminators are going to go into the Tactical Marine squad. So we'll start off with the bow sword. That's 2 hits. That is 1 wound. That goes through. So I'll mark that one up. And then the combi, the axes. That's 3 wounds. Not bad. So moving on to defenders fighting first. The last bit of combat is the Plague Marines into the Standguard squad. So we'll start off with the Plague Marines themselves. So hitting on 3s. Not a bad spread there at all. Again, strength 4 versus toughness 3, so 3's to wound. Re-rolling those 1s because of Plague arrives. Okay, so that's 2, 4, 6, 7 wounds, minus 1. This could do them. So 1, 2, 3, so that pulls another 2 Marines down. Okay. So the champion, hitting on 4s. Okay. And then the plague, the cleaver, hitting on 4s as well. Okay, 2 hits. So wounding on 2s. 2 wounds. Will this do it? One goes through, d6 damage. No, it doesn't quite. So the remaining Standguard hit back. So we'll start off with the standard Standguard Marine. 1 hit, no wounds, and then the Sergeant, no shock assault obviously this time. So that's 3 hits. That's 2 wounds. And I think that kills another Plague Marine. So that now marks the end of turn 2 for the Ghosts, and we've managed to tie up a few units across the board. So the Terminators are now tied up in combat with 2 squads. We'll see how that pans out in the next turn. The Sternguard and Captain are still tied up in combat with this Plague Marine squad. The Assault Centurions are engaged with Captain Trips over on this flank, and Typhus is engaged with the Tactical Marine squad over on the other flank. That's leaving this Venerable Dreadnought charging up the field, trying to get that relic back off of the Plaguecaster, trying his best to actually wrestle that relic from him and stop whatever it is these Death Guard are trying to do, to open that pathway to the Garden of Nurgle and unleash all of the foulness and decay upon this planet Sanctuary 404. So that marks the end of turn 2. So we'll move on to Death Guard turn 3. So at the start of Death Guard turn 3, it's ever such a slight amount of shuffling gone through. Nothing really done in the command phase apart from gain a command point. and we've we've moved the playcaster along, so he's back within 3 inches of other units, and a slight shuffle around with this blight spawn over here. Apart from that, everything else is either basically stayed in combat. So it's going to be a bit of a summary turn. No shooting because no eligible targets really, due to everything being in combat. So we'll be straight on to the Death Guard psychic phase. So we're going to start off over here with Typhus with casting a smite. Oh no, that's not a good start. Right, we'll have to spend that CP, and that's a super smite. For 2, so that kills 1 marine and puts 1 onto 1 wound that's in front of him. So now we'll go on and we will cast the Plague Wind. So it's a warp charge of 6 and doesn't go off. Okay, so that reduces the units in front of the models in front of Typhus down. To move that along to the melter guy, removes that. So around here with the Plague Caster, what we'll do is we'll do a smite and then Curse of the Leper into one of these units here, so it can reduce the amount of attacks that are coming into the Terminators in the fight phase. So again, we'll look at smite. It goes off on the 7 for 1, and then Curse of the Leper. I'll just check that. I think that goes off on a 6, but it is indeed a 6. That's 4, 6, 7. So rolling 7 dice. This is going into the squad with the missile launcher in it, trying to deal some damage. So for every 4 up, it'll be a mortal wound. So 3 mortal wounds, so a total of 2 marines killed there. So not a bad psychic phase. So pretty much we'll have a look at the charge phase, see if anything does want to charge in. I doubt it, but we'll take a look. There's only really 3 eligible units to charge for the Death Guard, which is the Psyker and the 2 Blight Spawns, none of which are going to really add anything into the units they're going to go into, considering we have Marines up against the Terminators there. I don't think those Marines are long for this world. And around the other side, I don't also think there's going to be much damage dealt to the Centurions, so I don't think I'm going to do any charges. So moving on to the Death Guard fight phase, that's now across the board. As everyone's still engaged in combat, that the defenders fight first. So what we'll do, we'll work our way around from this unit and we'll work our way around the board. So gather the dice and get. So starting with the squad over with Typhus, that's a miss, well done, good start. The Sergeant, 1 hit, no wounds. Okay, good start. So moving round to the squad, this tactical squad with the missile launcher into the Terminators. They're all the same, so 2 hits, 1 wound, and he loves it, he's fine. So now moving round to the Thunderhammer squad, the Devastator squad, I'm going to spend a CP on Death to the Traitors, so we can re-roll the hit roll. Because the Thunderhammer in there, I want to try and at least try and score some hits. So we'll start off with the 3 Marines that are in there as standard. The 2 Marines that are in there as standard. Scores 6 is score an additional hit, so that's 3 hits out of 2. 2 wounds and 2 saves. So far so good. And now the Thunderhammer. And we get to re-roll that. That scores an additional hit. So that's 3 hits. Now 3s, toughness to strength 8, toughness 5, so 3s to wound. I'll wear it, I don't want to use a CP just yet. So on the invulnerable save, so it's fine. That 4 up invuln really doing him a favour. So as we then come round to the Sternguard squad, into the Plague Marines far end, over by the building. Two hits, so strength 4, toughness 5, so 5's to wound, that's 2 wounds, and they're both fine. Okay, so it's going well so far. The Sternguard Sergeant, again everything into the Plague Marines. That is 2 hits. So it's 4's to wound because the Power Sword gives him a +1. That's 1 wound. That's a fail. So he kills that Marine that's on 1 wound. So I mark that up as 1. So now moving on to the chapter, the captain in Terminator armour, the chapter master, Captain Petra Lachlan. So 3 hits. He's got the burning blade. So it'd be 3s. So add in 3. So yes, 3's to wound. That's 2 wounds -5. So they go straight through, killing another one because it's 2 damage. So reduced down to 1 damage. So it kills another Plague Marine. Cool. So I mark those up and then we're on to the last one. Let's just mark another one up there. So that kills another Marine out of that squad there, which may help when it comes to combat coming back. So now all of the attacks from the Assault Centurions into Captain Trips. So a good amount there, so that's 5 of hit. 3's to wound. So that's 3 wounds onto his 4 up invuln. Okay, so 1 goes through. So he then gets to roll a dice back, which hopefully, well, it should on the 2+. Oh, it doesn't go off. Okay. If it was a 2 up, it would have killed that last Marine. So in this, well, to kill the Marine that's on the 3 wounds left on the assault squad. So all that being done, let's now go back through those units with Death Guard. So Typist is going to use a different profile this time. We're going to use the Scythe profile. It's probably overkill, but you know, it's pretty cool to see it. So he doubles the amount of attacks with the Scythe. So hitting on 2s. It gives him +1, so it's still winning on 3s. +1 for his strength, 6. No, it's wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s. Don't have to worry about that. That is -1. That's a lot. 5, 10. With 3 to get through, you'd hope he'd do it. So that's 4, 6, 9, 10. Yeah, they're dead. Okay, on to the Terminator squad. Okay, so on to the Bale Sword and Terminator. Hitting on into the squad with the missile launcher and the sergeant left. That's 3 hits, 2 wounds. You can keep that up. They'll make a Primaris out of you. Keep that up. Right. So now the axe is into the same squad. That's 5 hits. Rerolling 1, that's plague weapon. So 5 wounds. It's close, but they're dead. So now the flail going into the devastated squad. That's only the squad that's left anyway. Good start. And reroll those 1s. Okay, lovely. So 5 up saves. And each one failed is a dead marine. So that's 2 dead, leaving the sergeant alive. Now the 1 plague marine into the Standguard squad. 2 hits, 2 wounds, -1. 1 goes through. And now the cleaver. One hit. Reroll because it's a plague weapon. Definitely wounds. Ooh. Yep, okay. That just leaves the sergeant alive in the Standguard squad. Wanting to claim favour with his Lord of Contagion, the Plague Marine Sergeant's going to put all of his attacks into the Terminator Captain. Oh, only 1 hits. It does wound though. He's got the relic that gives you the Forge Master or something, which gives you the +2. So that makes him 7, no, 6, down to 5. He's strength, yes, still wounds, but he's fine. Okay, so now on to the Lord of Contagion. So that's 4 hits, 4 wounds. So I forgot to mention, but you can probably tell by the number of attacks he went for the cleave option. So these are -3. So each one of these is then 2 damage. Let's see how we get on. And that is the squad. So at the end of the Death Guard turn, we've really managed to, the dead pile on both sides is really mounting up. It's been a bit of a brutal melee battle really. Typhus has started to consolidate towards the nearest set of enemies along with his shambling horde, so they're working their way through the ruins. This lieutenant is pretty much stranded. The only thing that's left here is the Thunderhammer Devastator Sergeant. So again, I don't think there's not enough attacks in this lieutenant to take out those terminators on his own. So it's pretty scant across the board now. There's not much left on either side, but certainly it's certainly in the hands of the Death Guard here, because they're still holding on to that prize, that relic, with no sign at all of the ghosts being able to take it back off of them. So let's see what happens in the Ghosts turn 3. So at the end of the Ghosts movement phase, the Captain and the Stern Guard Sergeant have moved, backed away from combat, moved out of combat. The Venerable Dreadnought's moved up to get himself within pretty much guaranteed charge range, and the Lieutenant's also moved up to support this lonely sergeant here, and the Land Raider's also moved forward, ignoring everything down this flank for now, and bringing himself forward, trying to wheel its way round this side if it can, just to try and get in the next turn or two line of sight on everything that's happening up here. So that being the case, we'll start off with the Land Raider, and just because they've been annoying, we're going to put everything from the Land Raider into this squad of Plague Marines. So we will start off with 4 las cannon shots. So that's 2 hits. So wounding on 2s. No, wounding on 3s. 2 wounds and 2 6-ups, which we don't get. So that's D6 damage on the first one, reduced down to 1. I'm going to use a CP. Okay, so that kills 1 and puts 1 on 1 wound. Okay, so now the heavy bolter. Five, 6. Oof. Okay. So 4s to wound. All go through. So that's -1, 2 damage, so 4 ups here. Okay, so kills the other one on 1 wound and puts the champion down to 1 wound remaining. Storm Bolter is left on top. That's 2 hits and no wounds. Okay, so moving our way around, we're going to put we've got the heavy flamer and the heavy plasma. We are going to split through. Yeah, we're going to split fire. We're going to put the heavy plasma into the blight spawn, and we're going to put the flamer into the psyker. So it's we're gonna overcharge the plasma, because the reduction on that one will actually mean it's 2 wounds if it goes off rather than just the 1. So it's heavy D3 for 1. Oof. I've already used 1 this phase. That's very, very annoying. Okay. Alright. So hitting on 3s. Hits. Wounding on 3s. Phenomenal work. Excellent. Right. Flamers into the psyker. 5 shots. So, force to wound. That's 2 wounds. And 1 goes through. Putting on 3 remaining. So with nothing left, we're going to do charges from the dreadnought into the psyker. On a 6, that goes in, and the lieutenant into the terminators. On an 8, that goes in. So move them in and go on to the. Also, for the sake of it, we are going to charge the Land Raider into that Flame Marines champion. Why not? Do you know what? Why not? And with 8, he certainly gets in. Okay, so we'll move him in and go from there. The Death Guard player doesn't have enough CP to interrupt, so I am going to start with the Land Raider. Here we go. So we have a cheeky 6. Brilliant. Alright. Oh, never mind. Okay. Right, so now we move on to the dreadnought. So the dreadnought, 5 attacks on the charge. 5 attacks on the charge. Hit on 3s. They all hit. Okay. So his strength 12 against toughness 5. So wounding on 2s. They all wound. Can he be the hero the Imperial needs? So that's minus 3. For 3 damage. So each one of these will do 2 damage. That psyker has been smushed into the ground. So now, according to the rules of the prize, if that model is destroyed that's carrying it, it can be placed by the opponent within 1 inch of where that model was destroyed, and then it is left on the field, and any infantry model can pick up the prize by ending any kind of move on the objective marker. So now moving on to the lieutenant into the Terminators. So he has 3 attacks base, so 4 attacks on the charge. I'm going to spend another CP with Death to the Traitors again, putting me down to 4, so we can reroll those hits. So missed one already, so reroll, so hits. With strength, he's only got a standard power sword, so strength 5 versus toughness 5, so we're only on 4s. That's 3 wounds. Onto the Terminator invulnerable saves, each one doing 1 damage. So that kills the Terminator on 1 wound remaining. So the Plague Marine champion fought back and with his power fist, and took another few wounds off of the Land Raider. So now on to the 3 remaining Terminators. We're going to continue to put, so what we'll do is a slight switch around. The Lieutenant's got the Promethean plate, so any wounds rolls of 1, 2 or 3 don't pass regardless. So we'll put as many attacks into him as we can. So what we'll do is put the axes, put the axe from the champion and the flail into the lieutenant, and the axe from the blight launcher into the sergeant. So the axe into the sergeant, all hit. Reroll that one. It's 2 wounds. He's dead. So that's the removal of that. And then we'll do the flail into the lieutenant. So 4 hits. It's a good job we can reroll those ones. Okay, so 1 wound, which he passes. He is a boss. Right, okay. And the axe. 2 hits. No wounds, reroll that one. No wounds. Okay. So that wraps up the end of the turn for turn 3. There's not a lot left, but the ghosts have successfully managed to wrench the relic from the hands of the malignant playcaster, bringing that relic back into play. So let's see what happens in Death Guard turn 4. So into Death Guard turn 4, it's now a real summary turn really. Typhus has moved himself into the ruins, bringing himself around towards the action over here with a couple of charge choices really. The foul Blightspawn has moved over the prize and now he's claimed it. And then around here, Captain Trips and the other foul Blightspawn are moving towards the Land Raider in an effort to shut it down, or even at this point just destroy it with 7 wounds to get through. It's plausible. So that's kind of where we are. So we'll move on to the psychic phase for the Death Guard. We'll do a smite. Now I've just measured it up. The nearest model by less than half an inch is the lieutenant. So it'll be a smite into the lieutenant, which doesn't go off. I'm not so fussed about the other psychic power, so we will roll that. He's only psychic left anyway, so that goes off. So D3 mortal wounds for 1, and leaving 3 left on the lieutenant. to mark that wound up. The other one, we will give it a go. It goes off, so there's only one unit. We're going to do it against the lieutenant, and it doesn't suffer a mortal wound, so that's fine. So that's the psychic phase over. So on to the shooting phase. So we'll be looking to shoot the foul blight spawn into this Terminator, into the dreadnought, sorry, and the foul blight spawn into the Land Raider. So it's D6 shots from this first blight spawn into the dreadnought for 2. Strength 7 versus toughness 6 now because it's in contagion range. So 3's to wound. It's -3, 2 damage. It will be reduced down to 1 for any that fail. So let's see how he gets on. So he loses 2, but he does get a D6, a 6 that will feel no pain. He doesn't get either, so he suffers a further 2 wounds there. So moving away around to the other foul blight spawn, it's D6 shots into the Land Raider for 6 this time. That's a bit healthier. 2, 4, 6. And we roll that 1. Okay, so that's 4 wounds. So 4 5-ups. And it takes 2, 4, 6 wounds. It has 1 remaining. So moving on to the charge phase, we're going to charge Typhus. I think we're going to charge Typhus into the dreadnought. Yeah, why not? Let's do the dreadnought, and then these 2 will go into the Land Raider. So let's start off with Typhus. It's a 7-inch charge, which he's in. Okay. It's a 4-inch charge for both Captain Trips and for the foul blight spawn into the Land Raider. So Captain Trips is in, and so is the blight spawn. So move them all in and go on to the fight. So we'll start off with Typhus. He is going to use his cleave attack. He's got 6 attacks going into the dreadnought. So hitting on 2s. Dropped a couple. It will be strength. Really on 3s. Yeah, so it is makes him strength 7 versus toughness 6, so that's wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. Okay, so that's 3 go through, and any of these failed. We need to fail 2, and that'll kill the dreadnought. He's very dead. Does he blow up? Then we'll do the 5 attacks from Lord of Contagion into the Land Raider. All hit. We roll that 1. Okay. Be strength 7. So 3 wounds go through. Oh. And shall I be super? Well, no, he's got more to come in. Oh, more to come in, but we'll give it a go. So, he has a 5-up. He has a 2-up, -3. He has survived. So the foul blight spawn. 3 hits, 5s and 6s. 1 wound, no AP. It's fine. So now defenders fight first. That's all the attacks from the Death Guard. Now the defenders fight first, so let's start off with that Land Raider. What's his profile bring him down to? Yeah, D3 attacks for 2 attacks. 1 hit, so they're all going into the champion with 1 wound remaining, by the way. And he wounds, but he's fine. And so the champion back, and so now we'll carry him down there. Champion back, 1 hit, doesn't wound. Okay, so unbelievably that Land Raider survives to live another day. So now the lieutenant into the that sergeant's dead. I forgot about that. So the lieutenant standing alone into the Death Guard Terminators. So 3 hits, 2 wounds. Oops, 1's off the board. And both are all fine. So now everything coming back. So start off with the flail. 4, 6. They all hit. Typhus is a lord of contagion essentially, so yeah. 4 wounds go through this time. And he's dead. So after that heroic lieutenant falls at the hands of the Terminators, they can start to make their way, accelerate more towards, ooh, don't lose your arm. More towards the Terminator Captain and the Stern Guard Sergeant, who are the, along with the Land Raider, the only surviving members of the Ghosts. As we move on to Ghosts, turn 4. So leaving the Land Raider in combat, effectively blocking these guys off, it's only going to last 1 more turn. Oh, the end of this turn I think it's gone anyway. So the Captain and the Sergeant have moved away up here, and will do what they can, see if they can wrestle the prize. Albeit we think it's a bit of a lost cause right now. So the Terminator Captain will fire his storm bolters into the Terminators. Or will he? Yes, he will, into the Terminators. All hit. 2 wounds. 1 takes a wound. Okay. Cool. And 2 shots from the Stern Guard Sergeant. Both hit. No wounds. So with that, there'll be some charges. So we'll charge, it's a 7-inch charge for the Captain into the Blightspawn. I want to tie up, yes, I want to tie up the Terminators if I can. No, I'm going to put both the Sergeant and the Captain into the Blightspawn. Change plan. No, I am going to do this captain into the Blightspawn and the Stern Guard. It's a longer charge. It is a 10-inch charge into the Blightspawns, Blightlords. So start off with the Stern Guard. No, okay. I do want that captain to get in. And I'll re-roll that. No. Okay. So that marks the end of the ghosts. We will play out that last turn. And so whilst the Blightspawn moves back towards the centre of the board, we've got Typhus and the Blightlords are moving their way towards the Terminator Captain and the last Sergeant remaining. So we'll start off with a smite from Typhus into the Terminator Captain, being the closest model. It doesn't go off. We will CP that. It just goes off for D3 for 1, so that pops a wound onto the Warlord. And we will try the other one. It doesn't go off. Okay, so Typhus hasn't been exactly the most powerful Psyker this time round, but he's certainly done something. So we'll move on to the shooting phase. We'll put all of the shots from the champion into the Stern Guard Sergeant. They'll hit 2 wounds. He's fine. I don't know why I've used the different dice, but I have. Anyway, he's fine. So now the Blight Launcher. There's 2 hits, 2 wounds, and the Stern Guard Sergeant falls. So now moving on to the charge phase, everything, the Blightlord Terminators and Typhus are going to go into the Terminator Captain. So I'll measure up and we'll do the charge. So it's a 5 or a 6. So 5 and a 6, sorry. So 5 for the Blightlord Terminators, and they get in, and a 6 for Typhus, who gets in. They just get exactly what they need. So move them in and move on to the fight phase. So we'll start off with Typhus, and we'll use his cleave attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So hitting on 2s. Moving on 3s, rerolling 1s. So all of them go through. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 up invulnerable saves for the captain. One, 2, 3 fails. And with a flash of light, as the captain falls, the teleportarium takes him back to the battle barge in orbit. And with one final cleave of his Man Reaper, the Land Raider is torn in 2 and explodes, dealing mortal wounds, killing the champion, and dealing 2 and killing the Blightspawn. But on this day, ultimately, the relic was maintained. Typhus heeded the call that he heard from Captain Trips. And now, on this once truly holy ground, if you know where to look, the pathway to the Garden of Nurgle has been finally opened, and this sector's fate, and the fate of Sanctuary 404, has been completely and utterly sealed.